Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lifestyle with Dr. Moby, and we have great guest today, Colin Thompson, all the way from China. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Dr. Moby. How about yourself?
Good, good. So tell us a little bit. I know you've been really great in artificial intelligence, and I see your bio and so forth. That's such amazing work you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. It's very interesting because when people say introduce yourself. How do you do that now? Do you talk about your family? Do you talk about your education? You talk about your work? And as you know, I've traveled. I consider myself a world traveler. And when you meet strangers, you always have the first question: what do you do? Or where are you from? Or who are you? Or I like to say, what is your story? Right? Because when you ask somebody what their story is, you really get a really robust answer. I introduce myself as I'm a husband, a father, entrepreneur. I'm not sure in what order. I became a husband about 3 years ago. I became a father about a year and a half ago. As you can see, I have some gray, so I am an older father. I am here in Shanghai, China. I've been in China for about 12 years now. I am the son of what I call double immigrants. My parents are from Jamaica. My family's Jamaican. Immigrated from Jamaica to Canada, and then from Canada to the U.S., where I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky for a number of years. And then I had the honor, I'd say the honor of going to Howard University in Washington, D.C. As you may know, Howard University is an HBCU, a historically black college university, which is really set up to make sure we're educating people of color, black people, or I should say, people of the African diaspora, making sure they're getting the education that really gives them, first of all, knowledge of self, and then prepares them to support their people going forward. I graduated at the same university as the future vice president, Ms. Kamala Harris, graduated from. Going into my education side, I did graduate years ago with an MIS degree, information systems, then double back and got a master's degree, or MBA, excuse me, in supply chain management and e-commerce. So you can say that I'm a sort of a tech nerd, although I don't like development and programming. I'm a tech nerd, big fan of blockchain and AI. I joined IBM in 2006, really because IBM would give me the opportunity to get what I call some abroad experience. IBM did bring me here to China in 2008, where I've been for the last 12 years. And about 2 years ago, I diverged or pivoted into starting my own consulting business. And it's been an interesting journey for I would say, the last couple of years. So that is a little snippet about myself and who I am.
Wow, wow. It's amazing, first of all, to listen to your all accomplishment and how you define. And I think the most important you said is that, your family and your, career both are actually important facet of anybody's definition,
Right.
because, um, there are things, you're blessed, and always everybody is blessed with certain things, and certain things which we strive for. So education is of course one, or the skills we try to, but you have talent and you want to shine that. So your passion is always there, and you basically groom that. So but it's a lot of hard work, and as you said, you are on the other side of the world now, although you graduated from here. And
I think you're on the other side of the world.
I'm actually, that's so true. I was on the other side of the world. I came earlier than you're, but I'm here, and you're also on the other side now. But
Right.
that's what we always say, for education, for experience, for knowledge. I think we always believe that you have to travel door to door to get the best, and help a lot of people. That's true. I'm also, transplant immigrated, from Pakistan, and I'm here, serving so many people. So that's true.
And you are in DC, correct?
Yeah, I'm in Washington D.C. and I practice here, sleep and medicine. I've worked with U.S. Army as well as veterans and a lot of private hospitals too over the years. But it's been fortunate, to meet especially so many people and so many cultures and so many wisdom and experience that you never knew in life that you will be.
Right, right. And I actually spent most of my time in DC, 16 years in DC before I came here to pretty much before I came here to Shanghai. So I still have a house in DC. The most of my family's in DC area, so I definitely call DC home. So you and I are literally speaking from polar opposite locations.
And then it's interesting feel that you feel okay, how is gonna so I'm now in your city here and you are different
In
near
Asia,
my city,
yeah, well, Asia, right? Yeah,
Asia. And so it is interesting that, I never had thought I will have somebody guest there in but it's fascinating. So tell me a little bit about, I have known, of course, I'm a big fan of Chinese people. They are such a hardworking people. So tell me, what is your experience there?
my experience, well, there's two things. There's China, the country, and then there's the Chinese people, which same place, but two different things. If I say about China, the country first, I would say that it's a very beautiful country. As you know, it's massive. And I think that because I grew up in the US, everything is contrasted with my experience. I think one of the main differences between the country China and the country US is that China has a lot of uh, rural areas. They have desert areas. They have mountain areas. They have a lot of I would say vastly different, not architecture, but you go from being somewhere which is a major city to going somewhere which is desert or somewhere which is very has a big forest. I think that the the sites when if you go on tour here, you're able to really see some beautiful landscapes. And I mean that in the US, you really have to go, I would say probably in the Midwest or the West Coast, Colorado, Arizona, to really have some beautiful sights. But China is a beautiful country in that you have everything from Mount Everest. Well, not Mount Everest, but you have
Yeah, the northern.
right mountains down to the desert. So I think it's a very beautiful country. I think the people, as you mentioned, very hard working, very loyal to their families. As you know, in Asia, the biggest driver for individuals here is family. Family is very important, and going from the older generation, the grandparents, down to the grandkids, being in one house and really supporting each other and pooling their resources. Chinese people are very smart with their money, meaning that they don't really have what I would call big taste for big things. So they really understand how to really pool their resources to support the kids, to support the grandchildren. And that's very important. The responsibility for parents here in China is really to ensure the kids have a strong chance, to ensure the kids can make it, which is good and bad. Some people will notice that a lot of Chinese kids don't really have a lot of fun. And what I mean by that is after school, they're going to after school programs. On the weekends, they're going to weekend programs. Meaning, for parents, it's not about the kid having fun playing in a park, playing sports. It's more about them learning piano, learning different languages. And this is really so that they can compete with other kids. It's a very competitive nature here. So I think that it's an environment where family is very important, and parents do everything they can to support their children and give them the best opportunity to what I call make it big. My experience here has been wonderful. I use the backdrop of living in North America, and I can say that it's very peaceful here for a foreigner. Now, a Chinese citizen may have different views, but for foreigners here, it's very, very peaceful.
Mhm. Also, I noticed, that you've been founder and life coach with your, organization. So tell me your journey with life coaching and how did you get into life?
Yeah, that's a very interesting journey because when I first heard of life coaching, I would say 5 years ago, I laughed at it. I was at a afternoon party, call it a picnic, and I met a lady, and she said she's a life coach, and I was like, "What the heck is this stuff?" Right? What
Yeah.
is life coach? At that time, I was working for IBM
Mm,
as a process consultant,
mm,
and I was very process oriented. So
mm,
when the lady said she's a life coach, I said, "Okay, so what is a life coach?" And she explained to me what a life coach is, and I was like, "Well, look, if I go out and want to learn a new sport, I may need a coach if I don't know what to do. But in life, I'm living life. You don't need a coach to live. You just live life." So
yeah.
I didn't really feel her on being a life coach. I have though. I've always been very, very big on inspiration and motivation. I'm very big on trying to motivate people to reach goals, motivate people to have goals, have dreams, and not just have goals and have dreams, but to go after it. So if somebody needs motivation, they give me a call. I motivate them.
Mm,
But the problem is motivating people today.
mm,
If you motivate people today, odds are you have to motivate those same people tomorrow, and then the day after, and the day after. So I learned a few years ago, still with IBM. The IBM, I guess they recognized that I was very good, not very good, but I enjoyed inspiring people and helping people. They asked me to volunteer to be an internal coach. I said, well, I don't know what that is, but if they want me to do this, I'm going to do that because maybe it helps me get a promotion later, right? So I decided let me go ahead and accept their request. But I'll tell you what happened, Dr. Moby. I learned that if you're able to help somebody achieve a goal, that is life changing.
mm,
If I motivate you again, I must motivate you and help keep you going. But as a coach, your responsibility is to help that person go from where they are now to where they want to get to. And that's very, very important because again, motivation just says, okay, good luck, you can do it. Bye bye. But the coaching side says, okay, I'm going to be with you on your journey and let's get there together.
mm.
So I really found that for me, that was the last piece of what I call the puzzle that I needed. So luckily, and I guess the folks who nominated me for that role saw something because it stuck to me. And I went full time to coaching about 2 years ago. And I got to tell you, there's nothing as fulfilling as helping people to really improve and change their lives.
Mm. And that is such a beautiful thing you're saying is that it is in them where they want to go from point A to point B is to them, and we just facilitate and we are with them. We kind of encourage them to think of ways to get there. We can certainly give them a vehicle or guidance, but ultimately is their journey. It is what they have to define themselves where they are, right?
Right, right, right.
And they are where they want to go next, because that's both are very important. But unfortunately, if we see it, which we many time, you and me, we see it, a lot of people, we do life coaching and we see all the time. But if we don't see them realize that there's a problem, right, then
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's interesting is, as you know, being a coach, we have to be very much neutral and open. And I
mhm,
say that because you have to go in there, you have to create a judgment-free zone, and that's important because once if you have judgment, then
mhm,
when you're coaching, the judgment aspect is on your mind, and you're not really listening. And that's key because,
mhm,
as you mentioned, we help people along the journey. Some people don't know how to start. They don't know how to take that first step. Some people know how to pick the first step, but not the second step. So everybody's different. And as a coach, we have to be able to really help individuals, regardless of what kind of help they need to reach their journey. And I always say, as a coach, our responsibility is not to help the person reach their goal. Our responsibility is to help them take that next step and to help them keep going. If they take the next step and keep going, they'll reach the journey on their own. But as a
Yeah.
coach, we have to make sure that we're encouraging them, making sure that we're helping them get past the things that's preventing them from reaching their goal. In most cases, the client, the coachee has already tried to go forward and something prevented them. So really we're helping them get past the blockers, get past the hurdles, get past the pitfalls that they've experienced before.
Mm. And that is such a beautiful said. You really have come up with a great style to explain that. Thank you for sharing that. So also tell me, what are the some of, I'm sure you have coached so many people. So tell me some of the problems you normally see and you identify.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we want to make sure we have a judgment-free zone. So I will say that none of my clients have problems, right? My clients have things they're trying to overcome, things they're trying to achieve. In some cases, it may be that they want to have a better mindset, meaning that perhaps they find themselves having trouble maintaining relationships because they're angry a lot. For
Mm.
example, if they're walking and somebody bumps their shoulder, as opposed to just keep going, they may turn around and start yelling. Some people have anger issues, so some clients I help them to understand how to change their mindset, because typically, if you're bothered by somebody bumping a shoulder, you're probably having a tough time talking to your spouse, having a tough time talking to your kids as well. So helping them to develop a calmer mindset. Some clients really want to understand how can they really reach their goal. For example, I had a client whose goal is to be a world class filmmaker. So how to start getting past the blockers that have prevented him from really going forward and achieving those milestones needed for him to become a world class filmmaker. I've also had clients whose goals are to improve their relationships with their spouse.
Mhm.
Also, this is one that's very common. People want to improve their confidence. How can they become more confident? And that's actually something that I found that regardless of what a client's goal, there's always some aspect of it that has to do with them improving their confidence. So the confidence is a very common goal. But I have to say that over the last, I would say, 11 months, the number one uh, request or the number one goal my clients have been in the career development side. A lot of clients now, a lot of people are saying to themselves, I have a good job. I don't hate my job, but I'm not feeling fulfilled. I can take time now to sort of either pivot into a new role, doing the same thing with a new company, or trying something totally different. So clients now are having, again, they have the confidence to say, you know what, things are going okay, but I'm still not being fulfilled in my career, and asking me to help them to identify what it is they want to pivot to,
Mhm.
or to really help them understand why is it that I'm not fulfilled in my job.
Mhm.
A lot of people assume that people change careers because they're not happy. No, there's some people who love their jobs, but just still have a hole. They don't feel that their company or the organization is really helping the world. So I help clients really to not just go for a new career, but to really understand what it is about a career that makes them feel fulfilled, because you don't want to leave your career because you're feeling unfulfilled, get another job and still feel unfulfilled, right? So before you change, make sure you understand what it is that really does fulfill you.
And that same can be for job, or it could be relationship, it could be
Yes, yes,
with which
yes.
you'd have unfilled needs or unmet needs or unrecognized thing in themselves actually, and they're looking for that answer, but they're trying to experiment different things to find that answer, but actually answer is within them. They've never explored. So that is so true. And I mean, it's interesting that human behavior is complex, as we all know, but it's also very simple. The answers are always, in my opinion, with you, or it's always near you, but we don't have a vision to see that. We want to look for out far away, although it could be next to us, right?
Right. Right, and sometimes it just takes a conversation to really help the person to bring that up. Now, and I'll give an example of what I mean. I had a client who came to me, and his goal was he wanted to lose 15 pounds.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I put my clients through a little tough time in the beginning because I want to make sure that we identify what is the real goal. So the client said, I want to lose 15 pounds. So when somebody tells me what their goal is, I always ask them to add a few words at the end so that I can. So, so to him, his goal was to lose 15 pounds so that I can. And he said, so that he can look better in his clothes. Okay. So you want to
Yeah.
lose 15 pounds so that you can look better in your clothes. Do it again. So that you can what? So that I look attractive to my wife. And we kept doing that. So that I look attracted to my wife, so that our relationship is better. She likes me more. We spend more time together. So I said to him, is the goal to lose 15 pounds, or is the goal to improve your relationship with your wife? The goal is really to improve the relationship with the wife. So if we start there at the real goal and we say, what are things that we can do to achieve that goal? Losing weight might be one thing, but
Mhm.
there may be other things as well. And that's
Mhm.
very important because if you focus on just losing weight and don't address other things,
Mhm.
that might not do it. It might not be the physical, it might be something else. So that's an example, as you said, to really helping the client talk through
Mhm.
what the goal really is to make sure we're focused on the correct thing. And that conversation takes a couple weeks, right? I'm talking to now saying that in about 30 seconds, but that process takes a few weeks to help the client really think about what is the real true goal we're trying to accomplish.
Mhm. And that is such beautifully explained and said by you. I love it. I mean, that is, I think, the easiest explanation anybody can practice. And that's why, a lot of people, I'd say, when you are by yourself, just look in the mirror and just see where you see yourself. I mean, do you see yourself? Do you see how blessed we are in a way? And
Right,
everybody has a blessing. So once we change our attitude towards being blessed or being appreciative of what we have, you do feel differently. I mean, that everybody has it blessed in a way and blessed in a different way. So everybody is different, but ultimately it all comes down to feeling gratitude. So when we wake up, we are so blessed that we can move our arm and do things. Imagine if we were not able to do that, or
right,
people who can do that, or they lose the ability to do that, then we appreciate what we have. I think then also, what is our place? Like you said, the answer was very simple. It just had to come. I mean, it was always inside him, but it had to come out, right?
right, right. And I think, as you mentioned, having feeling the gratitude, sometimes it's very hard for people to feel gratitude.
Hmm.
Sometimes, as you said, people look themselves in the mirror. And Dr. Moore, I got to tell you that I'm guilty of this also. A lot of times, the first thing people do when they look at themselves in the mirror is look at what's wrong. They'll say, "Oh, my stomach is big. Oh, this doesn't look good." But they're not saying, "Oh, this looks good. This is great." They're not focusing on what's good. But it's funny. It's funny because if you take a picture of yourself and you look at your picture, you will say what's negative before it's positive. But if you look at a picture of a friend, you'll say what's positive before negative. It's
Yeah,
very,
that's
very,
very interesting.
it's
Very.
very, very interesting. So
Mhm.
sometimes people, we have to learn to, what I mean, to love ourselves and really, really, really accept ourselves for who we are, what we are, our shape, our size, our flaws, everything. And it takes years and years of practice to do that. But once you're able to do that, I got to tell you, this big weight is off your shoulders. And you really, as you said, you really look at things in that gratitude lens, right? Man, you know what? I look at my gray hair. I love my gray hair because if I didn't have any gray hair, maybe I'd be dead. I'd die young. If you get older, you're going to have gray hair, right? So people, my wife will say all the time, she doesn't want to get old. I said, honey, if you don't get old, you die, right? So don't worry about getting old. Embrace the gray, embrace everything. And to me, that's really a sign of having gratitude that you're still here.
Hmm. And I tell them, I said, if you ever feel that you could be different, maybe just visit people up in the hospital, or just come with me. I'll show you. Yeah, or go to nursing home, or do something, and I will have you meet a lot of people, or join any support group, and just go and attend one of them. Those, and see if they lost, and you listen to them, and you said, oh my god, I am crying on small things, and look at these. I mean, I meet so many people, and I feel so empowered by all of them. I say, well, my struggle and my things are very little what you do all. And then you all are heroes. Everybody's like, if you really want to listen and analyze them, they are actually really learning, everyday learning. So people say, oh, we are out of literature, stories, movies, and everything. I said, no, you probably didn't pay attention. There are walking stories and very fascinating, interesting people everywhere. Is But you have to sit and listen to them. So then
Yeah,
that's all you have to do. There's
yeah.
nothing,
Sit and
no
listen.
magic about it.
You have to sit and listen, and you also have to ask somebody, "Hey, what's your story?"
Mm.
And it's funny because I started asking people what their story is instead of asking them, "Who are you? Where are you from?" Because again, when you ask somebody the story, you get something back that's just wonderful, and you realize, first of all, everybody has a story.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody has a story, and sometimes we feel that what we're going through, only we went through this. Maybe we've had abusive parents, abusive spouse. Maybe we had a tough life. Let me tell you something, Dr. Moby. The more people you talk to, the more you recognize what we go through. We all go through.
Yeah.
Nobody's experiencing it. I mean, we have go through different things, but everybody goes through the same junk. Everybody goes through the same happiness and the same sadness. The key, though, is recognizing that it's just a part of life. Behind you, I see all your books, right? Each book is an experience in your life.
Mm.
Right now, the COVID Corona, it's a book. It's a book. It's going to be maybe a year and a half in people's lives, and it's gone, right? So one thing we have to recognize is we have chapters, we have volumes in our lives, but it's just a moment in time, and we have so much more to do. The challenge we have now is how can we right now today, how can we change the vision of our own future, right?
Mm.
And make sure the vision of our future is one that is positive and that we have to earn. You
Mm.
have to work hard to have the future you want. We see these things that say you can get a no exercise a six pack, right? That's bull crap. If you want a six pack, you must exercise. No exercise weight loss. No, don't try to find what I would say workarounds or easy solutions. Put in the work. Put in the work because I tell you, you put in the work and you reach your goal, it makes you feel that much better. And it's not about reaching the goal, it's about the journey. It's about the work
Yeah.
you put in.
And also, I always tell them, first of all, your direction has to be clear. Once you set up your direction, you will reach. It might take a year or 6 months or 2 years or 3 years, but you will reach. But your direction has to be correct. Yeah, if you go in wrong direction, you will also reach, but somewhere else. But maybe maybe someday you will reach, but then you will take a longer route. So there are all the paths. So any final thoughts? It was such a pleasure. I think we can talk with you for hours. So tell me your final thoughts you'll have for my audience.
Well, I think that the final thoughts for your audience. I'm not sure when this is going to air.
Mhm.
I'm not sure where your audience is, but I can guarantee you one thing, Dr. Moby. I guarantee you, wherever your audience is, they're going through some part of COVID. They're going through some part of coronavirus. So I want to speak to the audience and say, look, guys, do not use the coronavirus, the COVID-19, as an excuse to not be going forward in your purpose. A lot of people will say that, I have to put my dreams on hold right now because of the restrictions due to coronavirus. I'm going to say bullcrap. There are people right now who have a strong mindset, who are thriving through this time. And it's because they've identified what their purpose is and what their goal is, and they refuse to let anything stop them. Okay. Now, I do know that family members may be impacted, your own health might be impacted, your job might be impacted. Fine. Keep going forward. As Dr. Moby said, keep going forward. It might take you a long time to reach your goal, but keep going forward. I'm going to give you 6 words. 6 words that if you follow these 6 words, I guarantee you will succeed. Okay? Do not stop until you succeed. That's it. Do not stop until you succeed. If you do that, I promise you will reach all your goals. You will improve your life. And God willing, if you improve your life, you improve the life of your friends and family. So, Dr. Moby, thank you very much for having me on your program. It has been a tremendous experience for me.
Okay, same here, sir. I learned so much, and you've been really great, very well experienced, and very well said. I really appreciate what you shared with me and my audience. And thank you. Stay safe and always, and keep coming back. And if you want to share another, please let me know. I'll be very, very happy to have you again. You take care, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.